morning. It is, oh my goodness, the second to last day of the year, December 30th, 2023. We won't be saying that much pretty soon. And this is the SNHU Generative Workshop. I am your host. I don't know. I'm in a silly mood this morning and just ate sugar, so it's going to be rough. We're going into module 4, which was really weird because we've been on break this whole week and I took the break. I don't know the last time I can tell you I've taken the break, and this is a longer break than even between classes for teachers because we have to turn our grades in. So we're typically, getting break Thursday, Friday, Saturday-ish, and then things get going again. So it's been amazing. My computer stopped working. We're all just like frozen. But we are going into module 4, and it's a long time since module 3. The English 529, you're going into you're turning in your draft stories, correct? Yeah, I got some nods. And a couple of things to keep in mind. One, this is really fun because it's your first full draft, and I love this. It's probably my favorite week in the course just because I get to see what you envisioned, and because it needs to be a complete draft, like I get to see it from beginning to end finally. And you had these ideas that we looked at in module 2, but now I get to see how they play out for you, and it's just so much fun. It's really great. Heads up warning though, it takes me a long time to get them graded because they are complete stories and I am giving verbal feedback, and so please just, it'll probably take all week, plus there's just life. Oh my gosh. In English, but also in the learning module, it says you should pay close attention to the elements of fiction. I just want to emphasize them because there are things that we can talk about when people do their short writing today during those 6-minute prompts we're going to do, or 6-minute writing sessions. Some of the things that you can listen for in people's work are things like narrative arc. That should be the weakest because we're just going off the top of our heads, right? For your papers, it should be strong, but for this 6-minute writing prompt, narrative arc isn't always natural, though you'll hear the people that have been doing this regularly, and especially like Jesse and Sarah and Suzanne, they do the off week ones with the Slack group. So, they practice this kind of stuff every week. And so you'll just be blown away, and don't mind. They've been doing it for a long time. You can also listen for things like setting, dialogue, and those are the 3 that they are emphasizing for SNHU and English 529 for this draft. But also, of course, character, sensory detail. How do you get your reader into the scene with you? You do it with sensory detail. And then and that sensory detail can be part of setting as well. And then listen for figurative language in here. This is something that the old pros are really good at, but that figurative language, which is a subset of the graded category of rhetorical devices, especially metaphors and similes, those are the place, and you'll hear me say this in your verbal feedback too, that's the place where you translate this whole vivid thing you have going on in your head. That's the place where you'll translate it to your reader by saying something is like something else. And your reader will be like, oh yeah, I get that common ground. And then it helps bring them into your story with you. Can you all hear me okay? Or should I put my headphones on? Okay, just want to make sure. A little late asking that. Please remember that the very maximum words, like if I don't usually pull down your Word document, but if I have questions, I will, or I can open it and turn it in, and I can see how many words you've written. So 2,550 words, I'm allowing 50 words for like your name and the title and, the extraneous. That's the very, 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 very most you'll have. And otherwise, I did bring stuff. And there's a lot of good reasons for this. One, I have something like 40 students, so it's a lot of grading, but that's not the major reason. I had a peer who's in a writing group with me who was trying to publish a story from her novel. She pulled out an excerpt to try to get it some drumbeat as she's shopping at the agents. And everywhere she was trying to publish it had a max word count of 2,500 words. And I said, no, you gotta be kidding me. Granted, that's where she was publishing, right? I'm a reader for the Rumpus, and the Rumpus will take more than 2,500 words. So there are other places you can submit stories that'll take longer, but it's really great. And I think Lori can already nod and attest to this. It's really great to practice getting down to 2,500 because that's a lot of compression, and you can always build out to a larger word count. But unless you're going flash, like 2000 to 2500 can happen for a fiction piece. So it's just important to be able to control word count and still tell a complete story. And so I'm like wholeheartedly behind the word count at SNHU and a lot of students aren't. And so just please know that that's my perspective, and that's where I come from. And I've had students have pretty robust disagreements with me about that, and that's fine too. But this is my class, so that's how I feel. Okay, and then for English 532, this is where we're thinking in terms of the way actual physical setting impacts your own writing. So it's asking you to think about your own town, city, state, or country, and how does where you are impact the way that you write, or could impact like your characters where you write. And so you're going to think through Kate Chopin's setting in The Story of an Hour. And that is, you know, the 19th century. I think it's pretty like, I think it's in the 1870s, but I'm not 100% sure. No, it can't be. It's got to be later than that, because I'm almost certain that The Awakening was 1899. So late 19th century, you know, it's asking you about the communication system, the family structure, the social trends, and you'll be kind of making some assumptions in your discussion board. You know, I don't require you to go find out everything about the late 19th century and the kind of St. Louis area. So, but then you're going to look at atmosphere and tone, and some people will say, well, aren't they the same thing? And they're not. And so I encourage you to look up the difference between atmosphere and tone. And then you're trying to identify what kind of man Brentley, it's Mallard or Millard, I don't know, what kind of man he is. And ooh, that's just fun. Let's wait and see what everybody says in the class, because I mean, they're making judgments about somebody, and sometimes people forget that it's the late 19th century and he's sort of fitting his social code for the time period, right? But it's fun. It's a robust.
For this week, sorry.
That's in English 532.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I didn't read that.
You were like, none of this sounds familiar.
I was like, I read Desiree's Baby, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny how the same author will keep showing up, but hopefully with different stories. I don't know how many times you read The Yellow Wallpaper, though, oh my gosh, I was doing this with a client. I had her read it because she had never read it, and I came up with a new thing about the ending that I hadn't realized before. And I've taught that story 532 billion times and got something new out of it. And that's what's so great about, that's why I don't mind repeating what we're doing today. And then finally, you're in 532, you're writing something. If you're prose, you should aim for like 800 to 1,000 words. Notice that has a top cap in it, and I encourage you to meet the top cap. Poets, it says a rough minimum of 12 lines, but poets also shouldn't double that. So, 12 to 24 lines. And then screenwriters, 4 to 6 pages of script. And in that, you're going to craft where a character misplaces or loses something, tangible or not, or someone. And it's a really great assignment and so fun to read. So I'm looking forward to you seeing what your peers write. Any questions about the upcoming weeks at SNHU? Does this, Suzanne, Jesse, Sarah, Elisa, does this make you happy that you're beyond these courses? Or do you wish you were back?
Okay.
I want to do it again. I love both of them.
Yeah, they're fun. Both of these classes are.
I want to skip my lit classes and take more of these.
Yeah.
Right.
I would feel that way too, just because, obviously I did a serious lit for a long time and I'm done. Except for that I'm helping, what's that called? When you're like an expert, which is hilarious. A subject matter expert. I'm helping with the undergrad American Lit class in February going forward. So I'm really excited about that.
I just took my lit theory class last term, and I was kind of drowning for a few weeks, and then I finally understood what I was doing, and I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this makes sense now.
Yeah, I'm taking it now. I'm taking that one now.
Yeah, it's rough. Definitely rough. I've never enjoyed theory. I've had to take it probably 3 times, was working towards my PhD, and it just isn't my favorite. I think Derrida's a bully. And one of the teachers, she teaches the Shakespeare class, at SNHU, she knew Derrida. I was like, how old are you? Okay, so the one that I thought I would do this time, so start warming up your head, start getting your head wrapped around the fact that I'm about to, oh, where's my reading? Oh, geez, I don't have it pulled up. So talk amongst yourselves, it'll take me just a second. What's wrong with me?
It's holiday brain. That's what I call it.
Yeah, the readings
Yeah.
should have been up, and all I had up was the prompts. Okay, hold on. You need to be over on this screen. Here we go. So, and now I'm talking only to Sarah because apparently I'm a snob. Okay. The first reading, and I hope the whole thing will come down, is a flash piece that I love by Sarah Freely. Everybody here who's been here before knows she's one of my favorite people. And she has these amazing flash classes. So if you end up liking the flash size, look at Sarah and Suzanne nodding. Yeah, oh, Randall, how long have you been sitting there? Oh God. If you end up, I mean, she books way out. I think that, for example, the class I just got done taking with her, you can't get into until next fall. And even it might be full already. I don't know. So, but she has these affordable, amazing, they're like $110 flash classes. And then the students that are in there with you are like experienced flash people. I recognize their names, seeing them published in all the places I'm trying to submit. So you just get amazing feedback from your peers and from Sarah. And she's just a beautiful writer. And in this particular one I'm about to put in the chat, she's writing using sorry. She's using a bit of repetition, and also she's benchmarking setting as you move through. And so I think you'll see a nice combination of her setting things up for the reader and then using a bit of characterization and detail to move you through time. And I'm going to pop it in here now. And one of our favorite readers just arrived, but he's sick. My message is too long. Of course it is. So I won't put you on the spot, Randall.
I'll do it. I don't care. I'm not scared.
Welcome. It's nice to see you.
It's nice to be seen finally. It means technology continue to have our war.
I mean, you saw my Slack thing, didn't you?
Yeah.
I had the blue screen of death this morning, so total sympathy. Okay, so here is We Dive by Sarah Freely, and Randall, take it away.
All right. Age 12, we dive and dive. For the girl playing dead by the drain in the deep end of the pool. For the pennies we toss in the water by the lifeguard's chair. From the diving board, 3 steps, the hurdle, the launch. We come up for air long enough to eat lunch. Cheeseburgers and fries drowned in a murder of ketchup. Our bellies, humped and rounded, push against the elastic of our bathing suits as we dive and dive and dive. At 14, we line the gutters of the swimming pool, basting our bellies in baby oil and the occasional wavelets of cool that slop up whenever someone dives in. We pick at burgers without buns, drink cans of Tab poured warm over ice that cracks like knuckles. We learn about calories and fat from the high school girls who shout warnings across the humid locker room. Sometimes we dive, but only at the end of the day. At 18, we arrange chaise lounges and serve up the buffet of ourselves, tasty swell of breasts basted to brown, a feast for the boys teeing off on the first hole. Later, we pull out hand mirrors and paint alien faces over our own eyes and lips, wait by the 18th green while they putt out. We prop our feet on the dashboard of their cars, let them drive us to a rutted field off a dirt road where we unzip and dive as if we are starving. We hold our breath, but we've already smothered, already drowned.
Wow, right? Even if you've seen it before, it delivers every time.
Yep.
So some of you noticed that Elisa and I wrote some things in the chat. When people are reading back their pieces, sometimes we'll just type in what strikes us as it's being read, which also can make you miss some of the reading. So I don't always recommend it when it's out loud. But in this case, it was right before us, and these things really, really stood out to us. What are some favorite things you heard in here? What the foreshadow of killing themselves? Yeah. And Suzanne, can you take that a little farther? What do you mean by killing themselves? Like what
like not like literally, but like they're killing the version of themselves that makes them happy, especially like the societal expectations. They just really want to dive and have fun in the pool, but they have to keep rowing and killing the parts of themselves that they love.
Yeah, like taking their character and smothering it.
Yeah.
The different definitions of dive. Yeah, Sarah. Did you want to say more about that, or are you on it? You're muted if you do.
It just says it moves through the different settings. It add the repetition. You kind of would expect it to mean the word to mean the same thing, but it doesn't. And so it draws more attention to the context.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's clever. And in flash fiction and in poetry, that cleverness is essential, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, the high school girls shouting warnings about calories. I mean, because they learn about calories and they shout warnings, and it feels like they should be warned about things way more important than calories, right? In my opinion.
I was
felt-
kind of confused, like, what does golf have to do with anything?
My assumption is the pool is at a country club.
Mhm.
Oh,
So my guess is that the guys are going by golfing and the girls are basting by the pool, and there's this tension between them that'll turn into later, you know.
Mhm.
They wave
Gotcha.
at the
Maybe
18th
it's
green. Go,
yeah,
Jesse.
but I feel like my image of the men out there golfing are not also 18-year-old boys, you know?
Right.
Oh.
I mean, my high school had a golf club, but how many guys were actually out there golfing? So I feel like
right.
we're getting a glimpse of what they're aiming for,
When I
you
think
know?
of golf clubs, I think of that one scene in Gilmore Girls,
Yeah.
with Rory and her grandfather on the green. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the kind of man that I think of when they think of men golfing. I don't think of like
Right.
young 18, 19, 20-year-olds golfing, because
Mm-mm.
to me, golf is kind of like an old man sport.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Our high school has a golf club and a golf
Mhm.
whatever group, and I mean they won national tournaments, so they're it's like a different caliber, but I think it's evenly boys and girls. But
Mhm.
I didn't, and again, everyone who knows me knows my mind is so not on that track. I just thought it was just, the teenage girls versus the modern day snobby jocks, not the, baseball, football, whatever, soccer is out and golf is the new jock standard. But I just thought it was more the murder of innocence.
Yeah, and what's
Yeah.
a strong indicator of time? Like, what little piece of detail gave us time setting?
Well,
There's
they
a
literally said the age.
Mhm.
Oh, right, but the time in our culture is what I mean. There's a brand name used in
Tab.
this.
It was the Tab drink.
Yeah, and so thank you. My mother drank Tab when I was 14 years old. So I'm 55 now. This is set way back, right? So
Mhm.
some of the assumptions we make about what life is like now, like having
Yeah.
equal parts boys and girls on a golf team, or whether people would play golf or not, we have to
Mhm.
back up the same way you need to in the Story of an Hour with Kate Chopin. We need to back up and say, well, what would it be like? And this would probably be in the 1970s, is my guess. Maybe pushing into 1980. Yeah.
I also, for me, it's the word rutted,
Yeah.
because there's the two meanings of rutted.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, the rut in the ground, like the car tracks and
Right.
the behavior.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was also when they let them drive them to a rutted field, it was the double meaning.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a
Matching up
great
the
observation.
steroids with the double diving,
And
I
what
thought
is
the same about the putt out, because putt out is weird, but put out is not, and it comes
Mhm.
right after the first
Ooh.
hole.
Right.
Nice. Very nice. I hadn't noticed that before.
I like poured warm over ice that cracks like knuckles.
Yeah. It's
That's
kind
a
of
really
violent.
good
Yeah.
comparison.
And then when she says we unzip and dive as if we are starving, obviously there's the double meaning that, you know, what's happening back here could be different forms of sexual activity. But what does as if do in the end of that sentence?
Implies they're not.
Right. Yeah. So it's all part of the act, the turning into sexualization. And this is sort of the end result. There is a narrative arc in this flash piece, right? And the arc isn't just the changing of their age, but also the changing of what they do based on social expectations with that age, right? And it's, I don't know, I find it extremely heartbreaking. I don't know about the rest of you. And for me, anyway, who grew up in a very small town, this is, take away the golf, it's pretty accurate from my experience. So one of the nice things about a good piece is that it can have a universal quality to it. I think all of us recognize social pressures. All of us recognize doing something we love and then not being changed by the way we age and what our different responsibilities and expectations are, right?
So from my aspect, growing up between London and Israel and the yeshiva world, this is how we were portrayed, that this is normal American youth. This is how we were raised to think this is just totally, all the girls, all they ever want to do is, you know, makeup, sexualization, the whole thing. This is just exactly like, this is it. This is normal American childhoods.
Yeah, so think about the ways that when you watch Sarah Freeley take advantage of this experience and this perception she has, how could you do it with your own world and your own writing? Okay, so this leads us to a familiar prompt for some of you. And just keep in mind, Jesse also has a huge coffee cup.
It's actually water, ma'am.
As is mine. Oh, you can't see it. There I am. This prompt, anytime I give a prompt, I want to remind for the new people that are here, you can write about a fictional character and you can write nonfiction. We don't mind. Like, write whatever you're going to write. And as always, the 6-minute pressure is a lot. And so what's exciting is if writing happens. That's the singular goal. If you don't even write to the prompt, it does not matter. It's just important to start getting on the page something. And if your brain is like, oh my God, she just told me to write right now and I only have 6 minutes and it won't do anything for you, try something like writing. Oh, and I do recommend if you can write by hand, you don't have to, but it engages both hemispheres of your brain and changes what will end up on the page. Even I mostly compose manuscripts by typing, but I will start by hand almost every time just to begin that connection. It's up to you. It's okay if you type, but writing by hand does have a different experience. So you might try it another time if you're not going to now. And then you can write over and over again or type over and over again. I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. Did the old hats, do you have anything else that you do if you get frozen?
Right.
Start over.
What do you
But
do?
you could do those like word association things. Like pick a word and then think of other words that describe that word.
Yeah, so I'm about to give a prompt, and if something in this, like the word perilously is in this, if that's a great word for you, word associate with that. Yeah, great idea. Okay, so here's the prompt, and when I get done giving the prompt, I'm going to say, are you ready? And I'm not really going to pay attention to whether you are or not. I'm just going to say, now I'll set the clock and give you 6 minutes, and I'll say on your marks, get set, right? And when I do that, I'll probably mute everybody because that just makes it nice and quiet. So just be ready. When we're done, you're probably muted. So you need to know that. Okay, so, and I will put this in the chat as well right now. Ooh, no, not all of them. I won't take it. Okay, so what do you or your character, and this just says your character, but what do you or your character want to avoid doing at all costs? And this I think of this with the Freely thing we just read, because I imagine like one of the things is avoid getting pregnant, right? Or, you know, avoid getting with the wrong guy or whatever. But it could be, sorry.
Avoid dishes.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say it could be something that simple. Randall's got a couple characters in this epic that he's writing that need to avoid like talking to a certain person or going to a certain village, or and that might be what happens though. I think you're done with that manuscript, right? Whatever it is, you can write to this or you can write whatever you want. All I ask is that you write. On your marks, get set, write. You have about a minute left. All right, time is up. How did it go? Oh, you're all muted.
I got something, but I don't know for sure how well it goes with the prompt.
It's still something.
Yeah, good news.
I was expecting.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it goes with the prompt. But it
Again.
just
Writing, that's all that matters is writing. Oh, I have a cord attacking me. Go away. All right. So, who is interested in kicking off this round or reading what you got?
Sarah.
Oh, that stopped.
Yeah, I'll go. That's fine.
All right.
I think I read this time. I'm not sure about next time.
Okay.
As I came out of my mother's womb, nestled in her body, I assume a swat on my bare ass made me cry and forced my first breath like I'd seen in the movies. When I was in middle school, I traveled from sea level Wisconsin to a very high altitude in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, where the air is thin and dry. The ski lifts floating above like hawks going in straight lines. When I went to ride my cousin's bicycle, I panted and heaved for air because it was as though it wasn't there. When I joined the swim team in high school, diving into the pool from the high board, I inhaled deeply, knowing there would be seconds before I rose back to the surface, not unlike being risen from a grave. Yet now, for no reason at all, no SWAT, bike ride, or rising from the depths of the pool can force air into my lungs to avoid the inability to dig myself back out of the depths.
Woo,
Very good.
very nice. What stood out to everybody?
I love the beginning and the end. The SWAT, the round circle of the swatting. That, you know, with the pool and everything else. And the imagery of being on the high mountain. And again, although you didn't say it, having a hard time breathing. So it's like the three breathing moments, being born in the mountain and then in the pool. And that tied really well together.
The 4 breathing movements, right?
Or, okay. I
Well,
can't
the
count.
implication at the end that stopping breathing will happen, right? That is, because Suzanne, you said a whole narrative arc in 6 minutes. Dang, Sarah. Do you want to expand on that? Because wow.
You like basically so just like how Lisa was saying, like you hit all those 4 things, but you're able to circle back around to like give us this character's life. But also that ending that just like hits hard, and then you're like, oh my gosh, because I feel like the ending did great justice of making the whole piece stronger. And you did that in 6 minutes, and I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gave us an entire lifespan.
Yeah.
What else?
That last line really got me. I couldn't write it down fast enough, but like I think that's what really kind of seared itself into my brain because it's the last thing I remember. It's the last thing that I heard. And it kind of made me think of how fragile mortality is. Thank you, Sarah. Because I was like, oh my God, we're all gonna die at some point. So
Yeah, it's really profound. And I think Em is pointing out how we can, I mean, even for those of us who think that our death can be far away, we're all mortal, and it's the John and Mary die, John and Mary die, John and Mary die, right? That we've all read because you've all had that class. So, yeah, way to hit us in the softies, Sarah. Does anybody
That's what I
want to?
strive for.
Does anybody want to add anything else before we move on? We just have a lot of people, so. Okay, who is interested in diving in next?
I can go.
Okay, thanks, Suzanne.
Yay.
Kita knew she shouldn't have snooped in the ambassador's chambers. That comment, though, that snide tear through you type of comment that made her skin bubble and crawl. They are worms. Kita thought he was a worm, and she wanted to feed him to her winged pets. Her arm cuff glowed brilliantly, Aeonian warning her of danger. She dove under the bed, wrapping her cloak around her as the door banged open. Filthy dragons, the ambassador spat. They think they know what's best for the world. Ugh. Warmth pulsed through her, Aeonian's range starting to cloud her senses and burn her tongue. The bed creaked as the limited space pinned her. She was, uh-oh.
She was what?
Uh-oh.
oh,
It was like, oh my God, oh.
Like she saw something?
Oh, that's where it ended. Continue.
Oh, okay.
She was pinned to a creaking bed. Oh, seems to have a sexual implication to me.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, she's under it and he's on top of it.
Oh, now we all say
kind of a Gerald's Game kind of vibe, but that was just me.
Oh, God.
What's that?
It's a horror film. Well, it was a book too, but it's a horror film. It's freaky
Yeah.
deaky.
Is that
Everybody
the
here
movie
knows
that
I
I
haven't seen horror.
It's the one where she gets chained to a bed and then her husband dies before he can unchain her, and she has to sit there for a whole weekend. It's wild.
nice.
That's
That
not
sounds like-
happening in your story, though, is it, Suze? Yeah.
No, she's like under the bed, like hiding, cloak over her.
Okay.
All of us noted the skin bubble and crawl. I think the
Mhm.
bubble is awesome. What else?
Was his name Worm? Or her name Worm? What was the name?
Nah, he's just being a meanie,
Oh, okay.
calling a whole people worms.
Okay.
She
No, I
doesn't
like that. Does that
Is
work?
that like,
Work with the crawl?
oh yeah, that does match. I was gonna say, is this like this world's version of derogatory language?
Yeah.
It's like a super mean thing to call someone.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Fun.
Did you
So
say
what's up?
worms pulsing through?
I don't think she heard you.
No
Does that
worms
sound-
pulsing through, but that's awful imagery that I will probably use in the future. Thank you.
Oh, I like that. I mean, that's the part that stood out to me out of those words were what I remember clearly without having written it down.
Mhm.
So
I
like
like
that.
the snide tearing you type of comment. Like there's a snide comment, but a it's not tearing you type of comment. That really got me.
Nice. Nice.
In the dialogue, you said the dragons think they know it all, something along those lines. So these are, I don't know, are they
Predictions?
like humanoid type dragon, or are they just like the kind of like can communicate with you?
It's like the idea I was telling you guys the other day about like the dragons live inside the people. Like they have like the spirit of the dragons.
Mm, mm, mm.
Oh,
So would the people who
Interesting.
have dragon spirit be the ones who are knowing it all then, and they'd be called the dragons because of their capability? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
You said winged pets, and in the chat I put dragons, and they were. I was so excited. Nobody saw me, but I was like, "Woo!"
Saw you.
What else? Anything else really stand out for people? Other than the fact that she made dragons for a brief moment seem like they were like robins being tossed worms. I mean, it was such a sweet little image of such an awful thing, right? And we wanted him to be tossed because he was awful.
Hmm.
Nice job, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
I can go next.
Okay.
I started writing something really morbid, but I
Love it.
decided I couldn't do it anymore, so I've got to nonsense.
That's
And
good too.
for those who are new, I write a lot about my husband Russell and my dog Lana, and I'm Israeli, and all my family are in the war, so it'll make sense.
Mm-mm.
I am exhausted. It's 11 p.m. Russ went to bed 2 hours ago. Lana is snoring loudly on her mat by my feet, dreaming of kibble. My brain is dead, but I've things to finish. One more row of the scarf and I can bind off. One more dish to load into the washer. 20 minutes of fatigue later, Lana woken, peed, and back asleep. I head for bed. One more check on the news. One more game of Sudoku to calm me from checking on the news. One quick WhatsApp to make sure everyone's safe. And it's now 11:45. One page to read to put my brain to sleep, and it's 1 a.m. and my brain is on fire. Avishai is back in Gaza, and I'm worrying pointlessly. He can only call every 3 days. Another page of the book. Wait, that could be a great story tag. I write it down. Russ mutters sleepy sleep, and it's 1:30. And Russ yells at me to put the book down, the lights off. Lana snores continuously, not reacting to the noise, and I am exhausted.
Very nice.
Mm.
What a great glimpse into a personal experience of a historic moment.
Mhm.
What stood out for you?
I
Aubrey?
like the passage of time in this and the way it's skewed by the activities you do to try and distract yourself, because there's not a whole lot of time realistically passing through what you're discussing, but you're talking about doing all of these things, because time really just moves so slowly in those moments. And so you feel like you can do so much, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jason, subtle reference to bind off.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I did for the scarf last night, so there.
But I like that you didn't have to say out and knitting and like that, just the binding off was if and it's just a subtle, this is what I'm doing. I like that.
It actually made me cry. You brought tears to my eyes, and just the repetition of one more this, one more that, and then it ended at 1:30. It really hit. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Very nice. Also, a definite agitation involved. One page, and we know she read way more than one page, right? But the finishing the scarf and the dishes feels like it would take longer than 20 minutes. So there's just a kind of, and it matches the churn of the news cycle. But I love, Lori, that observation on the repetition was really nice.
Thank you.
Missed it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Anything
I
else?
felt it was doing good.
Sleepy sleep. I don't know why, but that just stuck out to me. I think it was because of the kind of alliteration, because you don't think of sleep to be sleepy, because it is a feeling and not a person or an object. So I feel like that kind of personified that feeling, which
Thank you.
is really nice.
Feels like something that would fit, you know, in a contemporary place right now, you know, like to send it
Mhm.
to a newspaper or
There's a lot of magazines that are specifically asking for Palestinian and Israeli voices. So
Yeah.
you might consider finding some of those.
They don't really want to hear the Israeli voices. Let's be honest.
Well,
Let's
that's
be
fair.
honest.
Well,
they do.
Well, I mean, they're asking for them, so it's worth trying.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Heartbreaking and really nicely done piece, Elisa. Who's interested
Thank
in
you.
going next?
I guess I could go next.
Good.
Let's hear
Lisa.
it.
Yep. Dishes piled high like Mount Everest, staring at me with evil intent, taunting me, only growing bigger as I continue to ignore them. The anxiety starts to knock on my internal doors of my mind, reminding me that the task at hand is like an unwanted in-law who doesn't know they're not wanted. I could do them now and just get them out of the way, I think to myself as I head toward the massive task before me, conveniently remembering that I must feed Gus right now. We wouldn't want a cross cat now, would we? I tell myself as I scoop the dry food out of the bag and zip over to fill his bowl, ignoring the dishes behind me as I go to sit and read a book.
That's amazing.
I
Partly
relate to this
because
so hard.
I had a horse
Yeah.
named Gus, so yeah.
That was so sweet. I love that.
Well, he's very pushy, so if you don't feed him right at the minute, he's just like, hey, excuse me.
Yeah, so then it's a very legitimate reason not to do the dishes.
Right.
The best part was for me, I felt very universal is that one, who doesn't not want to do the dishes, but two, the distraction is like a permission to then turn your back on the dishes and do it. And I think a lot of people can relate to that idea that we get interrupted and we get to ADD ourselves somewhere where we want to be instead of in front of a stack of dishes.
I love the in-law reference. I thought that was the unwanted in-law that doesn't know they're unwanted. I thought that was fabulous. I have many of those. I thought that was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
And Suzanne, you mentioned about the Mount Everest to the cat too.
Yeah, I liked how you like really put that huge, hard to do energy out because it really worked through the different pieces. And I'm not gonna lie, my cat's also a monster when it comes time to food, especially in the morning. And so he'll just like sit on my chest. And so like I felt like that moment of like you needing to feed Gus was this like bigger moment than it might have been because cats.
It's funny that you say that your cat stands on your chest because mine literally will stand on my chest and just stare at me while I like wake up. And then all of a sudden I see this angry face and I'm like, yep, I'm behind schedule. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah. And like the one claw that like, oh,
I feel like this lands in Jason's if you know, you know, right? We could have an entire publication on cats.
Right. So I don't have a cat, so I don't have any of that context, and I interpreted it a little differently. You know, where it felt like you're like looking for all of these excuses not to do the dishes because I feel like we all have that one chore that is that I just can't do it. Please don't ask me to do it. It's just not here for me. And when you're having a really hard time, especially, you can do everything but that.
Mhm.
That's how I was like reading it because I didn't, I don't know anything about cats being so demanding.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Get a dog. Dogs are way better. At least mine. Get a lazy dog. Get the bigger the dog, the lazier they are, which is why I have a huge dog. And
Mhm.
she can wait till 8:30, 9 o'clock. She knows the food's gonna be coming at some stage. Way easier.
Sarah says pets trump chores any day, and now she has to go do the dishes, but not really. That's great. Thanks. You took us into somewhere very universal, obviously. We were all really engaged. All right. And I need to say, you don't have to read. I mean, I forgot to mention that It's not a requirement, but you're welcome to. And is anybody else interested in reading?
I have a question.
Sure.
So this is my first day here, and
Yeah.
I really didn't know what we were supposed to be doing. So with the 6-minute writing, like, what do you expect from it, or what is the ultimate goal? I know 6 minutes getting anything is nice, but what is our ultimate goal with that?
Hopefully that you will have something that can lead to more writing, right? That'll spark something that's worth writing more about. A lot of these end up, because of the nature of what we read to get inspired, they end up being something to work on in the Flash context. And I do a lot of teaching to do with Flash, and I'm a co-editor of a Flash journal, and so I'm not trying to make you write Flash, but Flash can come out of it. My goal, and then I want everybody else to chime in with what your experience has been, but my goal is just to help you get something on the page, get ideas flowing. I know that some of these scenes, when people are writing for their drafts for 529, and actually somebody last term had it show up in 532, like the stuff will show up in class because you got started on something. You guys want to chime in and talk about what actually has happened?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it turns into, like, we all kind of have these story worlds in our head already. And so then when we get the prompts, a lot of times that story world will come in. And so, like, as you come weekly or bi-weekly or weekly, whatever you want to do, you'll kind of get to know the stories, because a lot of us build on the stories that we are already working on. But that's not mandatory, because also starting and launching from here is good too.
Yeah, I see it differently, as that beyond the schoolwork, my life is so hectic that I don't actually have time to do anything. So I like compartmentalize my time. So for me, I feel like this creative energy is like building up, and then like my 6 minutes every 2 weeks, I can let off a little steam. So my stories, it's not part of anything. It doesn't become anything. It's just to like let that pressure off a little bit until like I'm figuring, all right, I finished my degree, and then maybe I'll have time to actually sit down and write what I want to write. But this is just like a pressure valve release.
I normally do a lot of nonfiction in here, which I don't do anywhere else. So it's just for me, it's like a really great exercise in other forms of writing. Except for today. Today I'm working a little bit on my thesis. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Tiny bit.
Randall, do you have input on what's been happening for you out of these? I know
Y'all
you're
have
sick.
basically covered it. I use it as kind of like an opportunity to do snippets in my longer works, and occasionally do smaller stuff and get ideas for flash fiction pieces to submit. So
Yeah, and there's a pretty robust group in here. Sarah, Suzanne, Jesse, and Randall are all in it, that are they're doing off week ones of these. So on the next Saturday they'll hold one. And then they have a really robust Discord channel that I'm a member of. And they talk about places to publish, and they look at, short link stuff, long link stuff. I mean, you guys are just a really awesome group. That's why I started the Slack. I wanted this to happen. So you're making my dreams come true. Thank you.
But
Can we
there's
still join the Slack?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, can we still join the Slack group?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I have to send out the invite, or can any of you? Or
I'll look right now to see if
yeah,
we
if
can
you
get.
can put it in the chat, and then M can get there. And then from
So I
the
think-
Slack, they can help you get to their Discord channel too. And both are pretty robust, but I feel like you guys are a little more active in Discord. Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But Jason, don't feel pressure. Like I was at the beginning getting really pressured because I'm a tad older than some of the people here, and I don't have the time or the technology. And I'll log into Discord, and there'll be 5,000 messages. And at the beginning, I was like, "Whoa, I can't do." Go slowly. I don't publish. I'm not into the publishing. Eventually, when I write my next, Harry Potter manuscript to make millions, I'll do it. But I don't have the bandwidth to worry about it. So I just come here for the fun and the camaraderie and being with people that write. And it's really no stress. Just have fun.
Yeah.
If you want, I can read mine because it'll show Jason that not everybody knows what they're doing. This is my first session too. And I guess I'm echoing when I talk, so that'll make it even more exciting.
You're not.
You're not echoing in.
Oh, no, we
I
echo
stopped
when you-
echoing, but we echo when you're unmuted.
Yeah.
Well, I like hearing you twice. That's fine then. Okay, so I did it very literally. What do I want to avoid doing at all costs, and what am I perilously close to doing? I want to avoid making a fool of myself in these generative writing workshops. I do not want to turn them single-handedly into degenerative workshops. The old regime, who are all much younger than I am, are so talented, and I must constantly remind myself that they were once new to writing as well. I believe I am perilously close to making a fool of myself at this moment as I write about nothing. At least for 6 minutes, it looks like I know what I'm doing, furiously scratching out words that I doubt I'll be able to read anyway. My handwriting is barely legible. And now I look over at my dog sleeping peacefully beside me, oblivious to my anxiety and fear of failure. But they're also oblivious to my newfound love of writing and the joy I found in taking this class.
Woo! That was awesome.
So much fun. Degenerative workshop. That got me.
Extremely rare that we laugh through an
Awesome.
entire
Yeah.
writing.
Awesome.
I was thinking that. I was thinking that was the first time I think, well, no, we probably laughed out loud once or twice. Yeah.
Got the Appalachian story going.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the car warranty.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Oh, that was sweet.
That was a perfect use of your first 6 minutes because you
Yeah.
wrote what came to mind. And of course, that's what's on your mind right now, you know? And I have to tell you that every single one of you had a first time reading in this group. What do you think?
Yeah.
We all felt the same way.
Mhm.
And everyone tries to say like before they try to defend it before they read it, and you're really actually not supposed to. And you like did it in your writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When people, I forgot to say, you're not allowed to really talk about it beforehand by going, oh, this isn't very good or whatever. So we have a rule, and I run a little writing workshop almost just like this for the local library on Mondays. And our rule there, and I think it should apply here, is if you feel unsure about it, all you get to say is it's brilliant. And we put all the weight behind that, right? We know how your anxiety goes with it, and they do it with tone of voice. You know, there's 3 14-year-olds in this group, and they're like, it's brilliant. Yeah, I agree with Suzanne. Your narrative voice is fantastic, and you made us all laugh, and you read so well, and you did have good figurative language, and like you did all the things. Yeah. Well, I would encourage you not to try to reduce your anxiety, knowing that you're right on track is what I encourage.
Mhm.
I know.
Okay, because I didn't even know that I used figurative language, so.
You just kind of blacked out while you were writing it.
That's okay. Yeah. You'll say you don't write metaphors too, and you probably do. So we've heard it all.
Yeah.
But that's all totally normal. Like what Sarah or whoever it was said that, the repetition of one, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did repeat that a lot. Like just eventually you don't realize what you're doing. And
Yeah, and I literally had a client for an 8-week period who hired me to do what we do in SNHU, but she didn't want to go to school, and she just wanted to know the words behind it. So you use figurative language, and as you keep going through the school, it'll become natural for you to say, oh yeah, this was figurative language. So you're just learning the lexicon of the professional writing world, right? Yeah. Jessie, were you laughing because she hired me to?
No.
Oh.
No.
I saw you go like this. So I am, but I just want you to know that was really hard for me because I can't, so it had to be 1,000% different from what we do at SNHU, because I can't take SNHU stuff and do it with a client. That was a lot of work. But the same concepts still apply. Like you can't get away from the fact that these are elements of fiction, and yeah.
And Lori, I think we all kind of like panicked for a few seconds when that timer started, because I can tell you that I did, and then all of a sudden just words came on a page, and I was like, okay, we're gonna fly with this.
Yeah, and if
I've
you
been
keep
doing this for
coming,
almost 2 years and I still get that panic feeling at the beginning.
I
Yeah.
had that. I had like a solid 30 seconds of looking at the page like, oh no. What are we
Yeah.
doing today?
and you guys
It
do this
happens.
every week.
Yeah.
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 So it's natural.
That's why you don't want to know what the improv is yet. Dr. Max, by the way, I've renamed the improvs
What are they?
Zoomies.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay.
Because you know, like how bunnies or animals will like get the zoomies.
Zoom, zoom, zoom,
So,
zoom. Yeah.
Improv week should be zoomy week.
Yeah. So what we do for improv, and I want to mentally prepare you because I was going to do it this week, but we'll probably do it next week. I'll give you a starting couple of words and then you'll start writing on any topic, usually inspired by what we read. And then every 30 seconds, I'll throw a word at you that I'll hold up a book and show you. And I'm literally just coming up with the words in between the 30 seconds. And you need to try to incorporate the word into your writing. So if you want to try it out ahead of time, so it's not your first time, you can buy a dragon person. You can go into the recordings on that YouTube channel and look for anywhere that I've put improv in the title, and it'll happen in that recording. And you can practice it that way. And that way it won't be your first time when you show up here, if you want. And I know in both classes, I don't know, Jason, have I in 532, I've given the YouTube channel link.
I'm looking it up now.
I think you did at the start. Yeah.
But yeah, if you can drop it in the chat, Sarah, that'd be great. Just, but also just know I'm going to do it to you and it'll be fun. I mean, that's what happens. It ends up being fun.
Join us in the liminal sessions. We do them almost every week or every time.
I know.
It's really fun if I do it.
It's not fun when Sarah does it because it is very fast.
I'm like every 10 seconds.
Yep.
That's impossible.
It was what, 20 words when she did it in the 6 minutes? I think she
Yeah.
35.
It just,
It was 35.
yeah.
I put Sarah in charge when I was having a thing. I was at my mom's house and she was just like, boom, boom. And I come back and everybody's hair is all frazzled. There we go. That's the link to the YouTube area. And you can see if you go to the playlist or the channel, or now I'm using language I don't know. See, I can talk about metaphor, but I don't know. Something on YouTube will then give you the whole list of all these videos.
Yeah, that's a specific link to one of the improv ones.
Okay, thanks. But you can back up, I think you can click somewhere around there, it'll take you to the channel, and then you can see all the titles.
But with the intermediate in the off weeks, if you join, and I I admit I don't do it. I did it one time, I just don't have the time. But they also give you completely disconnected words ahead of time. Like, what was it? Dragons and I don't remember what it was last time. It was just 5 totally random words. And you're just like, how the hell can I use any of these in the same sentence?
Yeah.
Somehow you manage.
And then
I try to do it as hard as possible because I'm evil.
And I really do try to push to be done by 10:30 in these. And today is going to be, we'll see. I'm going to see if anybody else wants to read from their first one and we'll go on to the next one. But I set aside 2 hours, but I try not to do 2 hours because that's just a lot of people's time. And so, and please know that you're always welcome to drop in whenever you can, drop out if you have to go. Again, we're super informal here. So if you need to leave because you thought it was only going to be 1 hour, it's fine. Nobody's offended. Okay. Anybody else?
Okay, bye. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, Sarah.
I said, okay, bye. But I'm just kidding.
I'm not offended. Does anybody else want to read from the first go? Did you get something amazing that we don't want to miss out on?
I'll read.
Okay, great.
Aric's wounds were deep. He'd come to the streets to find Kayla in the hopes that he would finally confess. He'd fought countless battles against foes that should have killed him, the lattice-work tapestry of his scars telling those histories vividly through his runes. The newest chapter spilled blood into Kayla's trembling hands as she worked to stitch his life back up. Despite all these victories, even now at death's door, he was about to blow it again. There might not be any time left. Kayla, he mumbled. Shut the hell up, she snapped, trying to brush tears from her eyes, smearing his blood on her face instead. You're dying, Aric. Just be still. He tried to wipe his blood away from her cheek, only smearing more in the process. So cold, he couldn't feel his hands anymore. Schulf nearly killed me. Cold clarity. I killed my best friend for this woman. Listen, Kayla. His words didn't want to form. She kept stitching, kept crying. I love you. Everything faded into a cold gray nothingness.
What?
Aw.
I was wondering at what point in the story you were writing, and then you said it, and I was like, no, why is it like that? But I do love Kayla more and more every time you talk about her. She's just great.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I like that she was stitching his life while stitching his back or whatever. What you know, the two working together when she clearly wasn't successful with either. If he presumably died at the end, but I was just the trial, you know, she's trying to stitch his back, she's trying to stitch his life, you know, and it's clear like the pain this is causing both of them.
And Laurie, to speak of figurative language, the lattice work tapestry of his scars, that's figurative language.
I wrote
Yeah.
that right away, and then I saw it was up here as well. I was like, yeah.
I can't type it that fast. I just thumbs up.
Yeah, and we all loved it. And then all of us love, and I just didn't type it in yet, the cold gray of nothingness.
Yeah, Suzanne got that.
And with the scars and wounds, do they become impacted by being physically torn, mangled? Oh.
Yeah, do they?
You'll have to read the story and find out when I finish it.
Randall.
AKA, I don't know.
Oh, I do know. I'm not telling
I
you.
bet he knows.
Gotcha.
There was a Grey's Anatomy, like in the first season or two, where some guy came in with
You're
a
so far
swastika.
behind, Elisa. Is this going to tie in?
No, don't worry about it.
Okay, I'm sorry, but
Okay.
we are running behind.
Mhm.
Okay, what
Yeah.
else? I just want to ask, how many of us think that cold gray of nothingness means that the person died?
I don't, because it's not an absolute like black or white. We're somewhere in between.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not fair. You know the story.
Well, and
Still,
because
the
I know
language you
Randall.
use, Randall. I
For
also
me,
know
it could
he's your
also
main
mean-
character.
Yeah, so he either passed out or died. But what I love is that is actually a tension creating moment because we don't know for sure. So we have to go, right? Yeah.
For me, it could also mean like, I know that this is probably not in the middle of like Alaska or something, but usually when someone gets frostbite, their body turns like blue or gray.
Ooh.
So I was thinking maybe someone has frostbite and they're
Mhm.
clinging to life with trying to beat this frostbite that may not be there. We don't know.
Yeah, nice. Anything else?
I was gonna just ask, what's the word that describes when you bring your own context into the understanding of?
The contingent reality, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use a term a lot I learned from a colleague of mine at the Air Force Academy called contingent reality, and how we all bring our life experiences to this moment we're having together. And so your reality is contingent on the wealth of experience you bring to it, which means that, for example, Jesse doesn't have a cat. And Suzanne and I are like, they're little monsters, you know? So whatever it is that we bring to a story that helps enrich it from our perspective, which is why as authors, we can never control the experience that our readers have, right? Because they're bringing their own experiences in. And it's also something we can count on. Like we can count on that interactive experience with our readers. All right.
I just brought it up because Emily was talking about frostbite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does anybody else? I know that we haven't heard from Jesse and Jason. You want to go, Jesse?
Yeah.
Okay. And we can. I mean, you know, and we
Yeah.
could just read and then people can drop off as they need to for the, you know what I mean? Like, so don't feel
Sure.
obligated to stay, but let's hear what Jesse has.
Thanks. Okay. Nito ran through the black stalks of formless trees across the cobbled dirt of the forest floor. He ran as quickly as he could from the person chasing him. Chanito, they called. Por favor, just this once. He didn't reply. Eyes focused ahead on the ever-extending darkness. He watched the force generate blank tree after blank tree, wondering when the simulation would tire of making him repeat this chase. But he would not answer. He would not turn around, would not look his pursuer in the face, wouldn't watch the forest left behind disintegrate into pixelated grid he despised. So he ran toward that endless nothing for what felt like days, until his legs gave way. He stumbled to a lethargic stop as the ground formed beneath him. A cliff. Tiohavi's cliff. The voice was behind him. Nito, please, look at me. He could turn around, embrace his brother, and move on from this hell together. But no, he couldn't. He didn't want to see Tiohavi's murder painted across Rodri's face. I can't, Nito said, defeat weighing down his shoulders. Rodri said nothing, but Nito felt his hands at his back. He leaned into his brother, but then he felt the push. Yay! Yeah.
Nice.
Well, you can see what I think. What do you all think?
Which iteration is this in?
Which iteration? This is the failed one. This is his failed final simulation, his only one, which I think I put in around like reboot 7 area. Yeah.
Is this all happening in a computer game?
So this is what I'm working on for my thesis. It's about a therapy program for troubled youths who have to like kind of go through and remake choices so that they can heal. Yeah. So it's simulation therapy.
Gotcha.
By
so that
getting
light was
shoved off
blank.
a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. They get to die in the therapy like a lot. It's horror sci-fi. We're going hard.
If he's is his TO is he the patient? Like, why is he being pushed off the cliff?
No, so Nito is there's a lot of backstory.
Okay,
But
all right.
Nito is the patient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Later, can you demonstrate a lethargic stop?
Listen, it's the only thing I could think of at the moment.
Okay.
I love
Because
that.
it intrigues me and
Mhm.
I'm trying to picture it and I'm not
You
able
ever gotten to the point where you're running and you're just like, oh no, my legs are jelly. I'm just falling. I'm just
Yeah.
done.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love the way you read it though, because as you read it, you're like, these are not the words I want here. Which is a great
Yeah.
example of why reading aloud under pressure in front of people can expose to you.
Mhm.
For example, maybe reading a draft of your memoir in front of people in Omaha and realizing that some of the words weren't what you wanted, right? But you have a real audience. That happened to me. So yeah, that's why this is so important. And of course, you only had 6 minutes, but already, if you're using this in the thesis, that's part that you're going to change, where you're going to show instead of tell, right?
I don't even think I'm going to get to the scene for the thesis, but it
Aw.
started.
Are you going to go in the MFA?
I haven't decided yet. I mean, I want to eventually. I don't know if I'll go right into it.
We're trying to peer pressure, but it's not working yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm my own person. I don't give in.
I've been toying with it to use my faculty benefits. I could try to go in it, but maybe they wouldn't accept me. I don't know.
Good try.
The
So-
only thing I would ask Jesse next time is, could you read a little bit slower?
Oh my God, that's just what I was
It
going
always
to say.
reads fast.
Yeah,
I do. I'm a fast talker and we're running out of time. So I'm just like, okay, let's go quickly.
but
Yeah, no, I'm
because
just
you're
I-
also
I
using
have-
names that are foreign to many of us, and so
That's- yeah,
it helps if you'll
very
slow
true.
down so we can hear that name being pronounced.
Hmm.
But for me, it's also I have bilateral hearing aids, so when you go really, really fast, I only get every third word.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's fair, not just you. I'm not picking on you.
Hmm.
I do it to every airline announcer that I meet as well.
Yeah.
All right, and Jason, you said you do or don't want to go this time.
Yeah, I can read.
Okay, good.
A hush came over the library. Will, in his usual corner, tweaked to the sound of danger, the sound of nothing, the sound of observation. He tucked the book he'd been skimming into the back of his waistband and slid down the stacks towards his escape window. The sense of impending doom was nothing new for Will. Everywhere he went, every hour of every day, he was vigilant. He could not be caught. He could never be observed. His mother drilled this truth into him until she left. Then his father repeated the lesson. To be caught would be to lose everything, including his life. One foot after the other, Will slipped backward out of the window with his eyes scanning the rows of books for what had caused the hush. Was it here for him or for someone else? Pulling the window closed, he dropped to the dark alley and began to slip away. Will didn't know he'd been seen. He didn't know that he hadn't avoided detection. As Will slipped through the darkness, he didn't know he was walking away from life as he knew it and into a dangerous adventure.
Nice.
Very
This
Or
I
turn the
makes me think
page.
of like the part that you had put on the cover of a, like the cover, the
Yeah.
sleeve of a book,
Yeah,
where that is.
the teaser.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In some
Yeah.
ways,
It kind
I
of feels like almost like a pitch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Suzanne, dangerous adventure juxtaposing the beginning of a library, right?
No, I love that, especially like how you started it and the use of the repetition was so good. I was like trying to get when you did like the everyday, every sound, but I was so enraptured in what you were saying. I like lost it and I was like, let's just know that was really great because the situation was good.
Thank you.
I also thought there could be something sinister in the books themselves. It wasn't only the people that were
Ooh.
following him, but were the books colliding? That's not the word. Whatever the word is. Colluding, yes. Were the books colluding with or without, like for or against him? Like, you know, I've been watching too much of The Magicians.
I like The Magicians.
They're great.
Did I hear correctly at like kind of halfway through it referred to like something sinister?
Yeah, in general, yes.
Because
Yeah,
I
and
like that.
we don't know why he can't be detected, but we know the thing he most didn't want was to be caught, but he was, but he doesn't know it. And that's such a cool moment because we think being caught involves being aware of it. And it's even more fun when they aren't aware of it. But we as readers, you know, that it seemed almost a little bit like limited third person in the beginning, but it has to be omniscient when we learn that he doesn't know he wasn't caught. So that's fantastic use of omniscient. Yeah. What else? Anybody? You said repetition.
The voice that you used really fit the piece because it fit with the rapid fire pace of it too. That's something else that I appreciated. Like your sentences matched the intensity of the scene. So
Thank you.
I also love like when he slid down the stacks, like I pictured him on almost a slide going down the stacks, but it could have been him just creeping through the stacks. But I love the idea that there was, because then he goes out a window. So it's like, oh, he really could be doing something quite literal, or you could be using figurative language to describe what he's doing. But either way works. You know, we don't have to figure that out.
But there was also that I wasn't sure if he should get caught or not get caught. And that I need to know, like, is he knows he's running away from the baddies, but were the baddies really trying to actually not be baddies and they're gonna help him from whoever has seen him, who's actually the real bad, like there's different layer of baddies going on. And maybe being caught would have eventually saved his life. So I'm like, all right, I need to know the next part.
Yeah, it's more that he doesn't know that there are two bad ways to be caught, and the one that he doesn't know exists is the one that's about to get him.
Ooh. Lori, you were going to add something.
Oh, just I loved sound of observation. What's the synesthesia or something like that?
Synesthesia,
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Awesome. That was so fun. Y'all were so great. What a fantastic initial start. do we want to run another prompt? Have we really used up all of our time? I mean, like, you know, because it's 10:30 already. And it took us an hour to get through all this reading. And granted, we did some other stuff, but do you want me to give you the prompt and have you write, and then we'll just cut it off?
No?
Sarah.
I have to leave at 11. That's my hard stop.
Yeah, okay. All right. So what I think I'll do is we'll skip out, unless, do you guys really want to read another flash to get inspired, or should we just move on with the prompt? Because we heard everybody's flashes that were inspired. Yeah. Okay. So then this is, oh, you guys did this one recently in the interstitial. What do you guys call it?
Liminal,
Name
maybe?
pending.
The liminal meetings? Yeah. You guys just did this one, so maybe I shouldn't do that one. No, we're gonna do that
You
one.
could go for improv and just not do
No.
the second part.
No, I'm not going to. I'm gonna do this
Oh, one
one.
of the prompts? Yeah.
You've done it pretty recently, but it's okay. So for the next writing prompt that's about to start, we're going to do characters are at their most interesting when they're interacting with other characters. So if you'll notice, a few of you wrote, and they didn't interact with other people. Like Jesse had another person they were talking to. Randall had people talking to each other. Suzanne, did you have people? Oh, no. She had another person around. It was just vouch to bow wow.
I had. Does it count if like you're talking to yourself? Because the last one that I wrote, I was like talking to myself.
If
But I
M
wasn't-
was talking to the cat, it would pull it off. But right now, oh, I mean, you're M. If your character was talking to the cat, that would be interacting with another person. Or that interaction can happen like in memory. You know, you don't have to have the two people in the scene together to have the interaction happen. But you don't want to stay too long inside somebody's head without it being bounced off another character's position, or because even Jason's person at least had the thoughts of what he was being taught by his parents. But ideally, and this is why dialogue is one of the things the 529 looks at this week. So you just want to, I mean, they don't specifically because there isn't a separate grading category for dialogue, but just know that it's being emphasized in the learning module. But this is a great place to have this prompt gets your character talking to somebody else. And that's my goal with this prompt. And you can do it through memory. You can have the two people in conversation exactly with each other. You just can't leave a character all by itself without a back and forth. Again, even if it's in memory with another character, or they get boring, you know, you don't want to stay inside their head the whole time, even if it's a really
Could it
interesting.
be with an animal?
Pardon me?
Could it be with an animal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But you want to give a sense of that animal reacting. Like, you know, you're going to characterize your character partially through this dialogue. So for example, if your last character was talking to Gus, Gus might show disdain or stalk away or approach and cuddle, whatever, you know, to have a reaction, to create a sense of dialogue. Okay.
Wait, one last thing I wanted to sell to Laurie. Laurie, when I started doing this, I also had the issue of being unable to read my handwriting. And I found that if I wrote slower, I got less words out, but they were actually quality words and I could read my writing.
It's true. It's true.
Thank you. Yeah, that's true. And I just keep writing and then I look at it and it makes no sense anyway. So that's a good idea.
Yeah. All right. Are y'all ready? On your marks, get set, right. Oh, you have about a minute left. All right, go ahead and try to wrap things up. How's wrapping up going? I see people furiously writing. I thought I muted myself and instead you heard me finish my pajama pants for my husband's Christmas present.
Come on.
Because one side is a sewing machine and the other side is my fake piano.
What kind of sewing machine you got?
This is a 1990 Singer 4530.
Mm.
I used my mom's when I went down and helped her with her surgery 2 weeks ago. I used her Singer patchwork or something. I don't know what it's called for sure, but I was like, and now I want that so bad.
Is it one of those with the electronic interface and all the little codes you can type in, or is it just like a pretty standard one?
No, I mean, it's in between. It's
Mm.
pretty standard and pretty simple, but you can do a bunch of different stitches.
Mm.
But it was just surprisingly easy to use. And I have only ever used, like, I've never serviced, I've never cleaned, I've never taken care of this
Oh,
at
no.
all. And what is
Wow.
it? 30, help me with it, 33 years old? Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. Pushing 34 years old. Yeah.
I bought my sewing machine when the twins were born because of hemming and redoing the clothes. And I just think it hates me because it's been nothing but trouble since then. And I've had it serviced a million times.
Well, is that what you
I
brought us
did
here
buy
for?
it at Bradley, so, you know, precursor to everything, so.
Is that what your person brought us here for? I'm
My
ready.
what?
I was making a transition to the prompt.
Oh, okay.
Badly, very badly. So who got something that they're super excited to read?
I
I'll
think
go.
Sarah wants to go.
Oh, Sarah first. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't have any oxygen right now. That's why I have this fan blowing on me.
I wondered why you
Oh.
weren't wearing your oxygen.
You want me to
Yeah.
read it for you?
It's too confusing because I didn't use quotations or do any of that. But thank you. I brought you here because I want to introduce you to Henry, Cassie said to Rachel. Who's Henry? Just wait and see. Cassie led Rachel back to her bedroom where a 75-gallon terrarium held King Henry, the biggest pain in the ass Cassie had ever housed. Oh my God, gross, Rachel looked but couldn't look away. What's that squirming on his floor? It's a waxworm. They're like maggots. It's his favorite food. I brought Henry home a few weeks ago and he's already doubled in size. He's apparently hitting his terrible twos because he used to eat from my fingers, but now he demands I put it on the ground so he can watch his prey squirm before he chomps down on them, letting some of their fatty fluids squirt from the sides of his mouth. Cassie opened the door to the enclosure and rubbed Henry's head. She knew he didn't like it because he closed his eyes to pretend that she wasn't there. Now you touch him, she coerced Rachel. When Rachel stuck her hand in, Henry's beard darkly flared and his tail whipped around, startling them both. Oh, I guess he does like me, Cassie said.
We love Henry so much.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it.
Is Henry like you have one now, but this is a different one?
Say that again.
Like, is this Henry from the Cassie past, or is this a fictionalization of the one that you have now?
It's the one. It is him now, but Rachel isn't here.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. So you're using him fictionally, which is awesome.
But the characteristics of him being a pain in the ass is very much true.
See,
Yeah, we've had
that's
this
that
discussion with Sarah several
Mhm.
times.
yeah, little blur between life and fiction, right?
Right.
There's a bunch in here, and I think we all were kind of like fatty fluid squirt from the side of his mouth. Ooh.
Pets are
And-
so gross, aren't they?
Well, I have to feed his food. Like, it's weird. Just, yeah.
Lori's gonna skip lunch. And you notice darkly flared. Why was that compelling to you?
It just kind of gave me that feeling that like this turtle is, I mean, I'm sure that this turtle is not evil. I mean, the way that the way that she's describing him right now, he kind of sounds like an evil little pain in the ass. But darkly flared kind of reminded me of like a Disney villain for some reason.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's some sort of villain, even though he's just a turtle.
Yeah. And Sarah, that's my thought. I wrote that he was a turtle, but then I figured out he's a bearded dragon.
Yeah, he's a bearded dragon, and their
They
beard
flare when they-
literally turns dark when it flares when they're angry. So that's what
I
that
thought he was a turtle.
means.
Sorry. I put a turtle in the chat, so sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh, and
I should
Henry
have been
spelled
more
with an
specific.
I. Oh, so I got that wrong too.
What?
Oh, I spelled his name wrong, but Suzanne spelled it right. And he could be a Disney villain from everything we've heard. So definitely.
Maybe the next Jafar. We don't know. So
Could be.
Yeah, so everybody put a bunch of awesome comments in the chat for you, Sarah, if you want to look there. I'll keep us moving because I know we were too slow last time. So nice job.
Thanks.
And you are always welcome to post a picture of Henry if you have one available while we're going,
Okay.
because he's awesome.
Mhm.
I'll post it in Slack in general.
Okay, sounds good. Randall, I think you wanted to go.
Yeah, I'll go. I brought you here because someone's been in Pappy still, and I think it's your Uncle Lester. That son of a
on.
bitch ain't.
Hold on for a sec. You
Yeah, go
skipped
ahead.
out. Could you go back to I brought you here because?
Yeah. I brought you here because someone's been in Pappy still, and I think it's your Uncle Lester. That son of a bitch ain't got the common sense God gave a grasshopper, and Pappy'd give him a jar if he just asked. Don't be throwing aspersions at my side of the holler, Russell. You know good and well that your cousin Ezekiel's a sot. It ain't about the shine, Amberly. It's the principle of the thing. Thieving, Steven, and Russell, you ornery cuss. This is exactly why I don't talk to you at the church picnics. You ought not be judging people. The pastor says so. I seen Lester up there with my own two eyes. As sure as God's got sandals, don't blaspheme, Russell. Your uncle is a conniving weasel, and I don't trust him far as I can spit. He's been pilfering where he shouldn't be ever since he had that accident in the mine. Drunk as a skunk by 9 a.m. and on a Sunday. Don't make me sock you one, Russell. I swear I'll do it. Fine. This is why your orchards are dying. Russell, you son of a bitch, get off my land.
I can't believe you like recorded the conversation between my neighbors like that. How could you?
You two are working on an Appalachian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Randall, is that what that was for?
Just throwing it out, potential. But
Okay.
yeah.
We'll talk about it later. I like it.
My impression is it has a lot of potential.
Hmm.
Is that what it's? Oh, is your collection called Holler Stories?
We're actually working
Oh.
on two different things. We have
Yeah.
one that's like an anthology of short stories, and the other one's actually like a horror story set in like 1800s coal mines.
Oh,
Hmm.
nice.
Yeah.
I'm very
But it's
interested in
kooky.
reading the first
It's
one.
gonna be funny too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else stood out to people? Obviously, we were just like, you know,
I think I also thought like when he said you're pilfering where you shouldn't be, I also thought like it was also poaching on someone's wife or, not only the booze, but he's going for more.
oh, interesting. You keep reading a lot of subtext today. I like it.
I know.
Mhm.
It felt like watching Ted Lasso, except that it's the polar opposite, right? Because Ted Lasso's all feel good and happiness, and this was
I thought it was going to be a silly little show, and it's not. It's good.
well,
Great
I mean, I think in the
characterization.
end it is though, right? Like a lot of really crappy stuff happens, but in the end, I don't mean the end of the whole show, but like by good triumphs over evil eventually. And I'm not sure here with Russell and the other person. Who for a brief second I heard Russell and my brain thought of double letters and R's and I thought it was Randall. My favorite thing in this was how many what's the word? It's not an aphorism. They're like, oh, I have a book of these idioms. How many idioms that are strictly Appalachian that were in there. And I mean, I don't even know if they're real, but like, as sure as God wears sandals, don't blaspheme.
They're real.
That's real.
Well, yes and no. Some of them were real. God wearing sandals is one I've heard many times.
Seriously.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I mean, you just make it up as you go.
Sure.
You just hope people get it.
I mean, that's how they showed up in the first place, but yeah.
hmm
Well, Lori's saying the dialogue with the dialect and read with that accent. She wants the audiobook. I agree. If y'all don't do your own audiobook, then you're absolutely wrong. Because it has to be. I mean, I don't know. Jesse, you keep showing up with like that Japanese background. When you read your piece last time, I could hear the Japanese like pattern happening in it, which was
Yeah.
amazing for a girl from the Appalachians.
It can be strange. I've actually touched on Japanese today and for this one too, so you'll hear it again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least that's right. That is why Randall's our reader.
Mhm.
And Henry's in Slack. Anything else about Randall's piece? I should keep us moving. I'm not good at that.
I actually got to get going soon, so
Yeah. Do you want to read?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That's
Um,
okay.
No, it's just there's like it's between a cat, so there's like really no dialogue except just a one person dialogue. I
That's
can read
okay.
it.
That don't matter.
Yeah, we don't
So-
care.
I can read it.
Yeah, we'd love to. Yeah.
I brought Gus home on a rainy day. When I let him out, I excitedly said, "Welcome to your new home." He looked at me, eyes wide. His only response a hiss as he hid behind the toilet. "Nice to meet you too," I said, a bite in my tone that somehow snuck in. "Well, I'll leave you to it." A chirp and a soft paw on my face told me he was grateful for his forever home. Zumi's left, right, and center as he explored his new home, purrs and and chirps galore. "What you doing? I know it's exciting." Eyes wide with excitement as he rubbed up against me. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's not
That's-
much because I was kind of stuck, but
But
One
any,
thing that I noticed is that on your dialogue tags, you did not use adverbs,
Which is great.
you used action. And that is something that most of us coming in here end up having to learn, and
Mhm.
you just did it. So awesome. Because editors don't like adverbs.
I also kind of did a Sally Rooney thing where I just completely forewent the quotation marks.
Yeah.
I was
Mhm.
like, I don't have time to write quotation marks. I'm just gonna write words. So
Yeah, it was an absolute conversation. And the thing is, you did exactly what I was asking for in the prompt, which is you didn't leave your character alone. We got to see a bit about that character who was surprised to have a bit of bite in her voice when there was a hiss. So we learned that she she could respond to the way Gus responded and surprise herself, you know? And so all of that, and the fact that she clearly already loves this cat, and that he had the zoomies and she loved that instead of trying to stop him. Like, there was so much happening here that was exactly what we were trying to achieve by not having your character be alone. Having her interacting with an animal did the same thing as straight up dialogue. I think. Everybody else, sorry, that's me.
Yeah, because animals have the language to
Yeah.
communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had it in there.
Mhm.
And Jessie agrees, and she doesn't have cats.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's proof right there, right? That it works.
Right.
Yeah, nice job, Em. And if you have to
Thank
go,
you.
that's fine. No offense.
Okay, thank you.
And Jason,
Thanks for coming.
too. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
It's great
Happy
to have you.
holidays.
Yeah, happy
You
holidays.
too.
Happy New Year.
Can I go next? Because I have to leave.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I brought you here because Jane shrugged, really just because it's beautiful and I wanted someone to break my heart too. Lana edged up across the landing, sniffing at the lake water. She turned and looked at me. Really, I said, you're not helping. Lana whined. I got up off my perch of the cheap four-top table and closed up on her. She licked my face as I bent down to stare into her eyes and break. I sniffed, she sniffed. I looked towards Lake Washington. Green goop flowed along the top of the water. I inched closer. Nauseous sulfurous stench filled both our noses. I pulled her back. I pulled her back, heartbreak forgotten, and picked up my find. Hello, is this Kinko Lakes? The green algae is spreading. I can see it all the way down to the 90. Beep. If you want to send your message. I hung up. Just like my heartbreak, no one wants to listen.
What a fantastic way to end that. It's very effective.
Yep.
It's hilarious. Suzanne and I both were like the 90, ha, because we're from Washington too, and nobody calls it that. It's a regionalism. Do you guys remember from 550?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're from the East Coast, aren't you? No,
Yeah.
you're British.
I'm a British Israeli East Coast.
Yeah.
So the British, it's all, there's no it's the it's the M5, but when you talk about it, you say you're going on the M5 or whatever. You just refer to it as the M5. And in Israel, it's called road, so Kvish 6 or Kvish 7, just road 6, road 7.
Yeah.
There isn't
And in the East Coast, you do talk about the 95. I mean, that is a thing.
The thing.
Yeah, which I learned as a Washingtonian, because I was like, I-95, and they're laughing at me.
Well, the one that gets me is the IH1 in Honolulu, and I'm like, where are you going that you've got an interstate? There's no interstates here.
Right. I don't know if it's, maybe Suzanne's Googling it.
No, I thought it was funny because when I moved down to Southern California, I would say like, oh yeah, or now I say the I-5, but I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm taking I-5 or I'm taking, now it's all bastardized, but it's funny definitely because like in Washington, I definitely would make fun of the Californians who moved up here who would say like, oh yeah, the 90 or like the 5. But I definitely will now say like the I-90 or like the I-5 or like it's awful.
It's somebody, I'm not going to tell that story because we're short on time. So you said I wanted somebody to break my heart too, and then you just bookended it so nicely with that ending line. All I could write was great last line, but it was basically like they didn't want to listen to your heartbreak too, or they whatever. Can you reread it? The last line.
Just like my heartbreak, no one wanted to listen.
Yeah, exactly. Very wonderful book ending, and that felt so satisfying, and that you did it in 6 minutes was incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else you want to add before we move on?
Just that end, it was very good.
Thank you.
Chef's kiss, you know.
What is this?
You can't see it well, the angle, it's chef's kiss.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I recognize it looked weird, so I was like trying to really get the hand bend. It just didn't work. It's fine.
I'm missing now because you guys are developing inside language, which is awesome from your liminal meetings. And I'm like, what?
And it did take King County 24 hours to call me back. And they're like, well, where is it? I'm like, it's been 24 hours. It's moved on.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, Lori, we mostly talked about what's in the comments anyway. But the big thing that we complimented was that book ending where she began with sharing that heartbreak and then nobody wanted to listen to her heartbreak. That was so nicely done. Yeah. Okay, so we have Jesse, Lori,
Yeah.
and Dan.
Can I go? Because I have someone coming over very soon.
Yeah.
Okay. I brought you here because it seems like you need a refresher. Look at the walls. You and we've both made these types of grammar posters before. I am. You are. We aren't. Surely you had them when you were in school, so you should know the difference between things like want and need bilingually. 欲しい, いる. And you should equally know that it's best to ask 何々いりますか and not 何々欲しいですか? Because wanting something is selfish, but needing something is natural. I didn't want to see you on the weekends or sleep over at your house. I needed the physical proximity to know that you loved me because your text never said it. You always said, well, do what you want. Do you want to come over? And never, I need to see you. It's been too long. I would say, I want you. I need you. But you would say, 何でもいい. Either way is fine. I should have known that you wouldn't commit. And that's all I got.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Right at the end, you were answering the question that I wondered, which is, was this person analyzing somebody's English or somebody's Japanese? And then you said that the person only used the Japanese word for it. So there was a person in Japan who is not committing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is really fascinating because you could go, not knowing the context for the rest of the story, it could be somebody who had this experience in Japan and now was applying it to an English speaker and one, right? But I think it's even better that it's a Japanese speaker because then you kind of know, like there is a rule and a difference in Japanese that isn't quite the same. Well, it kind of is in English, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just took over the whole conversation. I apologize, but I love that linguistic play. That is really fun. And that's a good, when you finish that one up, when you play with words like that and the meaning of words, that's a really good one to send out to the literary journals, because they love when we think about what words mean.
I love as the bilingual aspect of looking at what words mean and the differences in the culture of using specific words. That was real. I mean, I don't speak a word of Japanese, but that was really, really well done. And the way you read it as well. And your facial expression actually changed when you were talking in Japanese.
Oh no.
And no, it added, it's like with the 532 with Suzanne, when she was constantly removing my U's from every word and my past tense, it's like the different way the brains work. And this came out really clearly here. It was really well done.
Oh, thank you.
And I liked your tone of voice when you were reading it. Like, started out sounding just extremely sarcastic and like condescending, and like it set the tone also.
Because there was a definite pivot. Yeah.
Well, I apologize, everyone, but I have to go. Got a hard stop. I will see you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okie dokie.
That's the plan anyway.
Okay. Love you all. Have a happy new year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
24 can't be worse than 23. So let's go for that.
Don't say that.
Let's not
Can't
jinx
say
it.
that. We all said that year after year.
Yeah.
Right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm sending something to you, Jesse. So just remember, Jesse, where'd you go? Whew, over here. if you do submit that places, be sure that
Mhm.
you italicize the foreign words, the words that aren't English.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I figured
yeah,
that, but just-
yeah. I couldn't do it in handwriting because I always have a natural slant to my writing anyway.
Yeah, you shouldn't do it in
Yeah.
handwriting. That's what editing is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Anything else, people? That was so amazing. Randall, you probably have something.
I'm a fan of anything when you start playing with meaning and bring that into like a narrative arc, because language is so fluid and there's so many different ways that things can be like, I don't know what the right word is exactly, like I guess leveraged towards
Yeah.
a different meaning. So I thought I like that. I always enjoy reading pieces like that.
Yeah, me too. Very much so. Yeah. I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, Randall.
Oh, you're fine.
Only a little sorry.
I don't believe you, but it's okay.
All right, I have to go. I have someone coming over, so
Yeah, gotcha.
see you
Thank
later.
Bye.
That brings us down to, we haven't heard from Suzanne and Lori, is that right? Do either of you want to read?
I don't want to read because I thought you were giving us the prompt and then just leaving us. So I thought, oh, I'll do it, tonight over a glass of wine. So,
Yeah.
so mine was garbage. So don't worry about me. I'll listen to the rest of them.
Okay, but you from now on, when you want to say mine was garbage, you have to say mine was a brilliant, and just put
Mine
this
was
one in it.
brilliant. I
There you
didn't
go.
have the time to read it.
Yeah, awesome. So I think we'll be interested, like post in the Slack just like how it went, with your glass of wine. Yeah, or you can put the whole thing in the Slack and we'll read it. There's a channel over there that is good for putting stuff in. But yeah, because we'll still support whatever you do.
Well, I hadn't thought about drinking wine coming to this.
Yeah, it's because I do them in the morning. We should have like the wine club version at,
It is noon here. So, well, actually it's 2:00 here. So it's getting close.
Yeah. Are you in New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, Suzanne, do you want to read?
I'll go for it.
Okay.
I brought you here because I wanted you to witness the fall of your empire and the rise of the greatest one to exist. Tylen's voice rattled through Kita. Water dripped onto the top of her head like the goddess was crying, of laughter or sorrow she couldn't discern. Aeonian was silent through the bond. He paced, he stalked, but he didn't pounce. They will never accept you. Her mouth and throat were raw from the hours of screaming. Days? Weeks? Oh, little dragon. But they have no choice. See, the marriage of us will sow any seeds of deceit. It will prove that the goddess herself chose me, that I was destined to rule. Shay would never let you live. The people know she is alive and that you lied, that you tried to kill her. Highland crossed the room in 3 strides, his eyes ablaze.
Ooh.
Something about to happen.
So I feel like you're in the middle of a story that I don't know all of.
If we're honest, I have not even started it. So I was just like picking scenes that I've like thought about, but it has not, I haven't even done like a good outline of it yet.
Is this is the dragon story and you're thinking about doing it in the MFA?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I liked the goddess is crying, and then paced, stalked, didn't pounce, and then hours of screaming, then the question, days, weeks, right? So it really gives us a sense of how long this torture or whatever has been. Yeah. Lori loved laughter, sorrow she couldn't discern. Nice. Randall, do you have anything for Suzanne?
I'm kind of new to this world too, so I got lost in the world building aspects of it because that's always my go-to starting point is the setting. So like I've been thinking through a lot of your ideas about like how your dragons work, and I kind of got lost in that. So
Nice.
also the idea of the goddess is crying, I'm curious to see how that plays in. So
yeah, I agree that there's a lot of world building happening here. That that as a reader, you know, either if we're reading physically or if we had an audiobook, we might even pause and go back, because that's where we are like, oh, you know, and our brains will take off in imagination with what you might mean. And that's not very helpful, you know, because then we get lost while you're reading.
And I wasn't sure if it was related to the first thing that you wrote. And maybe I could be way off, but just with the dragon and the dragon, so I wasn't sure if it was connected or not.
Yeah, this will happen at like the very end. And what I wrote earlier will probably happen at the beginning. It was just kind of like, oh, perilously close, getting caught. So we'll
Ah,
see.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anything else? I'm going to hit stop on the recording so that I remember.